Before I start this video, I'm going to give one large spoiler warning, so if you have not seen the film Us, then please go watch it and then come back to this video. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. Us is a horror film written and directed by Jordan Peele that was released in early 2019. One of the most interesting but inexplicit aspects about this movie is its uses of varying technology throughout. Technology plays into various roles in this film, shaping the social classes between families, as well as acting as the silent driving force behind the film's plot. To begin, let's first look at the film's subtle comparison and divide between the two main normal families, the Wilsons and the Tylers. Throughout the film, we see this clash between the family's fathers over who has the most wealth and better materialistic things, such as with their boat rivalry. Gabe is constantly trying to up Josh by matching the technology he has through getting his own boat and trying to get all the necessary items for it that Josh also has. And this conflict creates a theoretical divide between the two families and their different ways of life. This divide between the two families isn't just through the fathers, it's through the whole family and how they each use and rely on technology. The Tyler family is heavily reliant on their wealth and up-to-date technology. You can see this through their luxurious lake house, their fancy boat, their internet usage, backup generators, and especially their artificial intelligence, Ophelia. Everything they have in their lives is the most current and wealthy technology. This over-reliance on technology and wealth can be seen as one of the reasons why this family is so unlikable. They appear spoiled, lazy, bratty, and demanding, and they don't really spend time together as a family. They prefer to spend all their time with the internet and other technology rather than with their actual family. Let's take a look at a scene from the movie.
What is wrong with you? Seriously.
Ophelia, give me some Beach Boys.
Playing good
Really?
vibrations
Why not?
by the Beach Boys.
So last night here, let's have a little party.
Ophelia, turn it down.
Turning down good vibrations
You
by
chill
the
out,
Beach
all right?
Boys.
There's nobody out there. Just go back upstairs. I'll be up in a few minutes. Everything's gonna be fine.
What's going on?
Nothing. Nothing, guys.
Jesus. The backup generator went on. We're just trying to figure it out. Go back to sleep.
Just because we're in our rooms doesn't mean we're sleeping.
Fine. I don't know. Go back to your rooms.
In this scene, we can see how the family acts amongst themselves. Josh doesn't care about the threat and has Ophelia turn the music back on, and the daughters come out of the rooms acting bratty towards their mother, who continues to let them be spoiled brats. This family is more focused on leisure and fancy technology than spending time with one another. This over-reliance on technology would soon later be their downfall. Instead of working together to stop the intruders, they argue about the power messing up and turn up their music even louder. This whole situation is then exemplified by Kitty trying to use her AI to save her and call for help, which only mishears her and plays more music instead. The Tyler family acts as one end of the spectrum, and on the other end is the Wilson family, the protagonists of the film. Nearly everything about the Wilsons is in contrast to the Tylers. The Wilsons don't have nearly that much modern technology that the Tylers have. Gabe's boat is old and janky and missing some key items, and Josh's is more newer looking and has all those essential items. The home that the Wilsons are staying at is also a huge contrast to the Tylers. Adelaide's childhood home is filled with a 1980s style and technology. They have an old box TV, they don't have internet, and they have record players and VHS tapes. The house is like a time capsule, and it's the complete opposite to the fancy tech-filled house that the Tylers are staying at. The Wilsons do not rely solely on technology like the Tylers do in this film, and they also appear more human and likable. You find yourself disliking the spoiled Tyler family and then rooting for the loving Wilson family. The Wilsons have a much closer connection to each other, and many times in this movie you see them holding each other and sharing wholesome moments bonding with each other. The Wilsons don't need fancy technology to be happy, they have each other, and that is enough. Quickly, I think it is important to address the difference of race between these two families, and the idea of whether or not race impacts the idea of technology usage and reliance in this film. I would say no, because the only white people that we see behaving this way in the film are the Tylers. For the other white people that we see in this film, we do not really see the same behavior, so I do not think that this film is saying that technological privilege is associated with being white. I think it is just saying that the Tylers specifically are the unlikable and spoiled ones who are too reliant on their technology and wealth. Another reason why is because we see another person in this film showing similar aspects of technology reliance in the film. However, this character is not white, and in fact, she is one of the main protagonists in this film. This character is Zora. This is one really interesting thing to point out regarding these two polar opposite families. It's that there is something that connects their ways of life together. Adelaide's daughter, Zora, is this connection. Zora is seen throughout this film, representing both lifestyles of the families. In the beginning of the film, she was seen on her phone a lot and asking about the internet when they first arrived at the house. She also just sat on the beach with headphones, rather than going and play in the water or sand like most kids and teenagers do. For these instances, she acts very similar to how the Tyler family does. However, as soon as the Tethers arrive in the story, she no longer acts like that. She remains very close with her family throughout the remainder of the film, protecting them no matter what, and relying on primitive technology in some senses to deal with the threats such as sprinting far away, or using a golf club to kill the evil twins through blunt trauma. In a sense, Zora acts as a bridge, or tether, between the two sides of the technological spectrum. She uses technology a lot, especially in the beginning, but she also has a close relationship with her family throughout. Just like how the Tethers are connected to the normal people, Zora is connected to both aspects of technology use. We can see how technology affects the two families in different ways. The Tylers are spoiled and bratty, and the Wilsons are compassionate and happy. But what about the Tethered? This is where the third main aspect and spectrum of technology usage and effects comes into play. The Tethered are on a completely different plane of this theoretical spectrum. They were created by the government through some mysterious untold technology for the purpose of creating a form of mind control. While they were literally born from advanced technology, they have had zero access to it their entire lives. They came from powerful technology, but they were forced to live primitively through eating raw rabbits and using scissors as their weaponry. They didn't have vehicles, medical equipment, or any of the luxuries and technologies that the people above ground had. We can see this through the initial meeting between the Tethered and the Wilson family, when Red explains to Adelaide her story. Let's look at that scene right now.
The girl had a second child, a boy this time. They had to cut her open and take him from her belly. The shadow had to do it all. Herself.
Through this important dialogue in this scene, we can infer from what Red says that there was no medical equipment in the underground. She didn't have the fortunate technology that Adelaide had when she had her C-section. Instead, she had to perform the C-section on herself alone. This means that she had to cut open her stomach by herself without any medicine to numb or relieve the pain. I can see why she is so cold and violent now towards Adelaide, especially since we know that the real Adelaide was forcefully swapped with Red when they were younger. Through this glimpse into Red's life, we can infer what the lives of other Tethered people would have also been like. All of the Tethered shared very similar misfortunes through this lack of any real technology and also lack of love. The Tethered were forced to marry whomever their above counterparts decided to marry, and they were forced to conceive children against their own will. These Tethered were essentially slaves to whatever the above ground people wanted to do. These people were not shown love like the above ground people were. They became cold and ruthless, showing no compassion for anyone, and this makes them fit into a completely different end of the spectrum. They didn't have the technology that the Tylers had, and they also didn't have the love and compassion that the Wilsons had. Additionally, the only bit of normal technology that the Tethered actually used and drove them was the very last TV program that the young original Adelaide watched right before she went to the beach that night. It was the program showcasing the Hands Across America campaign that was going on then in the 1980s. This one piece of technology, this one TV program, acted as the main motivation and influence for the Tethered's plan once they escaped the underground. The technology of a single TV program influenced this young girl to go on a full-on apocalyptic takeover of America years later. This shows how even the slightest of technology could influence someone, so much so that it sent her to cause doomsday to the whole nation. Overall, Us is a brilliant horror film that has a lot to say on the usage of technology and how it affects us differently depending on the person's upbringing. The different families in this film each showcase a different aspect of the effects of technology on their lives. Some relied too much on it, causing their eventual downfall. Some don't rely on it at all and instead focus on family and love. And some create an apocalyptic doomsday master plan due to a horrible upbringing and the influence of a commercial. From Us, we can see these different effects that technology has on people depending upon their upbringing, and we can see the deadly consequences it has the potential to bring.